Well Together podcast. Welcome to Well Together podcast. In each episode, inspiring conversations from wellness experts will guide you towards a better life. If you are ready, let's start our healthy life journey. In this episode,
welcome to another enlightening episode. Today we spotlight on misconceptions surrounding menopause. Our guest host, Michelle Schoenfeld, is joined by a remarkable guest, Susan Curtis. Susan, a naturopath practitioner and the author of the insightful book Natural Healing for Women, brings her expertise to the forefront. They explore and share invaluable insights on optimizing women's health and vitality. Enjoy the mind-opening conversation.
Hello, this is Michelle Schoenfeld, today's host of the Well Together podcast, coming to you from TheLifeCo Holistic Wellbeing Center. So I am thrilled today to continue our discussion on women's health, specifically health and vitality during menopause. And to do that today, we have brought in as a special guest for you all, Susan Curtis, naturopath practitioner from the UK. She's written several books, including Natural Healing for Women, published by HarperCollins, bravo. And she's here with us today to help demystify and explain how you can be healthy during menopause, during the hormonal changes that we experience. So before I go any further, let's welcome Susan Curtis to the show. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you so much. It's really a privilege to be here, back at TheLifeCo, which is such a fantastically positive place. And it's lovely to meet you, Michelle. Thank you.
It's wonderful to meet you as well. Before we do a dive into the topic, explain a little bit about what you do and what your specialty is.
So I'm a naturopathic practitioner and I help people with a huge range of health problems and challenges, which means I find natural solutions for difficulties, challenges that people are experiencing. And over the years, I have come to specialise somewhat in women's cycles and women's health, including sort of problems before the menopause and then especially during the menopause as well.
Let's start with hormones. Why are they so important for our well-being? And what should we pay attention to for hormonal health?
Well, hormones are really the ultimate link between the mind and the body, because the different secretion of different hormones into our system really affects how we feel. It makes us feel scared or panicky or relaxed or calm. All the different hormones have these amazing different effects on our emotions and mental health, really. And then they also really affect our physical health. So things like a thyroid imbalance is because of a hormonal imbalance, and all the changes that we go through and some of the symptoms that we can experience during the menopause are because of the sort of fluctuations in hormonal levels.
And so I guess that's also why we notice like people like gain weight or they have upset stomach or they don't sleep or all that's based on the hormonal changes in our body. Let me ask you a little bit about pseudoestrogens. This is something a lot of people talk about. Like, what exactly is a pseudoestrogen?
So our bodies produce different hormones in order to keep us healthy and in balance the whole time. So we produce thyroxine to keep our thyroid healthy, we produce estrogen, we produce progesterone. They all have different functions in our body. The hormones build up in our system and the liver breaks them down in order to eliminate them. Well, estrogens should be at a very stable level in our system. And one of the problems is that there are many, many things out in the environment these days in modern life that affect estrogen levels. They act to stimulate estrogen or they have an estrogen effect in our body. So instead of having our natural low level of estrogen that's necessary for a certain stage of our hormonal well-being, we're getting estrogens into our system from things like plastics. Plastics give estrogens. Pesticides give estrogens. Water, drinking water, certainly in London, is recycled 6 times. It goes round and round 6 times. And so many women are on the birth control pill that there are high estrogen levels in drinking water. So what it means is we're literally being bathed in estrogen. And estrogen has a feminizing effect. It affects certain feminine receptors in our body. So there are, for example, evidence that it affects fertility in men. There's too much estrogen in many women. And it is a hormonal imbalancer. So there are certain cancers which are dependent upon hormones, as you know, especially types of breast cancer and types of prostate cancer. And this is being linked to excess estrogen, not produced in our body, but taken in from the environment.
Wow. That's why it's important to do some detox.
It is, exactly.
And have really clean filtered water. Not filtered, but clean water. In a previous show, I had the opportunity to interview Dr. Bedridden, and he mentioned that hormone disruptors. Is this the same thing? Are pseudoestrogens the same as a hormone disruptor?
Yeah, so a pseudoestrogen just means a kind of fake or false estrogen. Sometimes they're called xenoestrogens, which means from the outside. External estrogens. So it's things that we're taking into our body that are not naturally produced. And as I've said, things like plastic is an estrogen donor. So we should never store food in plastic. We should really be phasing out single-use plastic. Don't drink water constantly from plastic containers. That's one really important source of estrogen. Sugar. It's been proven eating refined sugar actually increases rapidly estrogen levels in our system. And that's another reason why a detox is so important, that includes really cutting down or eliminating sugar for a period of time.
So let me just ask you on that. So obviously like sugar, refined sugar, as you said, all these external forces, alcohol, things like that. Can we cut out too much and then not have enough estrogen?
Well, we can't cut out too much estrogen from the outside. Your natural hormone production will produce enough estrogen during your monthly cycles, and even after the menopause, you produce an estrogen-like substance, if you're healthy, that takes over from the estrogen that you produce before the menopause.
Really? That's really interesting. I did not know that. I just thought it was done. That's nice to hear. So that leads me to my next question is, let's actually talk about menopause. What are some of the common misconceptions or misinformation that you see with your clients or that you see people coming to you, like just assumptions surrounding menopause that just really aren't valid?
Well, I think in the past there's been a lot of almost embarrassment about the menopause, and, it's the sort of cause of quite a few jokes and comedy on TV and that kind of thing. And I think that's a bit of a shame, because it is actually a transition to what's often the most wonderful time of a woman's life. You interview most people in questionnaires, say they're happiest in their 60s, for example. It's a fantastic time of life. So transitioning through the menopause can be an incredibly liberating time for people. Having said that, times of transition are always challenging, aren't they?
Absolutely.
It's a classic thing having to go through. And I think that's the point. It's that adjustment phase when estrogen levels are declining, when there are other changes happening, often in skin and hair. And you do get some symptoms sometimes, the hot flushes, the dryness, and those can all be managed. But it is just a phase of readjustment into a sort of really liberating time of life.
So my next question is, how can women reduce the challenges of menopause? Like, what lifestyle changes can they make? But also, like, I'm looking at you, your hair is gorgeous and your skin is glowing. Like, what kind of things can people do? Share with us.
Well, I think all the things that we know are going to support our health and well-being become really emphasized as we go into that phase. One thing that happens, of course, one of the good things about having a monthly cycle is that it's an opportunity to detox once a month. You don't have that anymore after the menopause, so you really need to pay attention to the sort of natural detox that you can do with diet, with lifestyle. Don't get constipated. Make sure that, you have saunas or skin brushing. Make sure what you put into your body with diet is absolutely fantastic. Avoid non-organic, eat organic food as much as you possibly can, because pesticides are another xenoestrogen donor. So eat organic, drink filtered water. Support your liver, don't drink too much alcohol, kind of eat lighter foods that are good for the liver. Reduce stress. You can't really be healthy into old age if you're stressed, because it will affect your heart, your circulation, your mental health, your gut health. It'll affect everything. So take the menopause, I think, as an opportunity to really change your life and put into practice the things that you know are going to be good for you. The meditation, the regular exercise. Find a form of exercise that you enjoy and make time for it. So kind of celebrate that. Hopefully you have a bit more time to look after yourself. So do that.
We're living longer and we want to be healthy living longer. We want to be well living longer and thriving. What kind of diet things do you suggest for people, or what kind of examples can you give us of changing your lifestyle diet-wise?
Well, switching to a predominantly plant-based diet, I think, is really important. There are many studies which show how much healthier that is for you, and avoiding, red meat and things that are going to shorten life and can cause other health problems. It's a time to it's really a time to make that change if you haven't already. Make sure that you eat organic food, because as well as avoiding pesticides, then you're maximizing the mineral content in food, and you need those minerals to produce healthy bones and a healthy immune system. Manage your weight. It's time to do a sort of weight control program. Come to TheLifeCo and, do for a weight loss program, because again, we know that excess weight and fatty tissue does store unhealthy toxins that are then released back into the system. So it's much harder to stay healthy.
It's interesting that you said that. Of course, we're at TheLifeCo now and love to promote it, but it's true. I have a plant-based diet the last 9 years, went through menopause about 10 years ago myself at 40, and I work out, I'm healthy, but I still can gain weight. So I do come to TheLifeCo and do 2 or 3 detoxes. If I can't make it here during COVID, I did them at home, because even for myself, who's in wellness, you got to stay on top of it. I never really thought that the detox would make that much of a difference. I thought that was just me, but you're saying that really does make a big change for everybody. It's really important for everyone.
It's really important for everyone. It's really essential to building good habits, and then from time to time, kind of assess what can I do extra? What can I do? Especially if you have any slight health little warning signs, then definitely, going on a detox is really brilliant.
The other thing I think our listeners would like to hear is we get kind of bombarded with the supplement issue as well. Do we need the vitamin D? Do we need the selenium? Do we need all the different things? Do we need this? Do we need this? We need more calcium as we're going through the changes. Would you mind just touching on that a little bit, or how to address that if people are thinking of it, just to keep your energy up and keep your body functioning so we can live to a ripe old age?
Yeah, it's about optimum health, really, isn't it? That's what we want. We've heard about the people that live in the blue zone and live, until they're at least 100, many of them, and are healthy as well. That's the real point, isn't it? We want to enjoy those
We
decades.
want to feel that vitality. We want to be excited. We want our inside to match how our mind feels, right? Like our body. So what is your thought? What is your feeling about bioidentical hormones? They're really popular. They're being promoted, not only for relief of symptoms, but also for brain health. What's your view on them?
My view on them is that they're not for everyone. That, back to the idea of people living in blue zones, the women there are living a very healthy elder age and, haven't needed bioidentical hormones. So in an ideal world, you absolutely don't need them. I think it's also a problem if they're used to mask what you need to be doing. If you use them to avoid what you should be doing, like the weight loss or the reduction of stress or improving your diet. So there are disadvantages to them. Also, we don't actually know what the long-term effects are 20, 30 years down the line, having, after taking them, even the bioidentical hormones. However, I'd moderate that by saying, if you have extreme symptoms and other things aren't working, or if you have a strong family tendency to something like osteoporosis, then they can be useful. So I think with everything, you need to assess it on an individual basis, really.
I think it's important that you say that. I really like, so HRT, right? Hormone replacement therapy. There's so much that we're bombarded with, from the media, from our doctors. And I would say the same thing is like, of course, ask your doctor, do your research, know what's best for your body, but really do your research. Like just because one doctor or one philosophy says, yes, you need it, or your friend or your sister or somebody took it, doesn't mean that it's right for you. I would love you to talk about that just a little bit more, because I think people are confused. Like if their doctor says, oh, you need this, where would they start, or how could they approach maybe looking at some alternative treatments first?
Yeah, that's often what I suggest to people if they are going through some challenges, hot flushes, symptoms like that, and they're questioning whether or not to take HRT. And I often say, well, there are many natural alternatives, so try some things first. You can try just drinking sage tea every day to reduce hot flushes, and in clinical trials, it does help. There are other herbs as well, like black cohosh. There are wonderful things you can take for vaginal dryness, for example. So omega-7, usually from sea buckthorn oil, is incredible for vaginal dryness. And again, clinical trials are really supporting that. There are things like, one of my favorites is pine bark extract, sometimes called pycnogenol, which increases sensitivity for the vagina and also libido. So if you're with a partner and, struggling with libido and so on, there are things that you can do. And that's really exciting, isn't it?
I'm going to need to take notes on this. Can you just repeat those 3 things again? Let's be real.
Well, enjoying life to the full is always important. Okay, so sea buckthorn or omega-7 for dryness. Sage tea, the simplest remedy for hot flushes, and pine bark extract is the best thing for sensitivity and circulation and enjoyment. Yeah, there are many things to try. There really are.
Watch the stock values go up for all those companies. What else would you like to share with us on this topic of menopause and vitality?
Well, I think it is a process, isn't it? Like life is a process. So, enjoy the journey. It's a very exciting time, isn't it, now? Because there is so much information. You can do your research. And there are fabulous places like TheLifeCo to come and, give you a really good boost and get you on a great path.
What are some things that you do?
Well, I take all of the supplements that I've mentioned, and I have a mostly plant-based diet, but I'm not perfect. I enjoy a gin and tonic now and then. And
life is about balance. Even the founder will say that.
Yes. I meditate really regularly. I'm very involved in a meditation, group where I live. I play tennis regularly, hiking and tennis. And it's finding an activity and an exercise you enjoy, isn't it? And you look forward to doing. It
really is. I like that you said tennis. I'm a tennis player as well, but there's also the social component, right? I think that's why we've seen such a rise in mature age pickleball, right? Because it's something that anybody can kind of start up. And healthy relationships, right? Like looking at your friend group, looking at the people around you, and really maybe, making some cuts and making some additions to get the people that you're around in a really healthy space as well, that kind of support your goals and living a happy, healthy life.
I think that's a good point. I think surrounding yourself by some people at least that make you feel good about yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself when you're with somebody, then that's a challenge, isn't it? And you don't necessarily have to put yourself through that. I think, I feel once I've got to my age, I should be able to have more choice over what I spend my time doing and who I spend my time with. And what you read. Do you read things that are uplifting and positive, or constantly kind of negative doom and gloom? These things all make a difference.
They really do. We know that energy is everything. Energy is currency, right? It's so important what we're putting into our mind as well. So let me bring this back around just for a moment. My best friend or whatever is doing the hormone replacement therapy, but I really want to try the homeopathic way, the naturopathic way. How would somebody go about that? And how long do you kind of give it before maybe you reevaluate? Like somebody who's just kind of going through it now, like maybe they're, maybe in perimenopause, I don't know, like starting with the hot flashes or starting with the mood swings. If you don't mind, touch on that a little bit.
Well, perimenopause is the perfect time to start because that means that you're aware that there are some changes going on. And, I've heard it said many times, if you think there's something going on, then there is something going on because hormones are like that. They are indicators for us. And so this is the time to evaluate, make changes. I think some people do it alone, but I would really recommend people find a practitioner, ask around, ask people you trust, who have they had a consultation with, talk to, whether it's a homeopath or acupuncture or aromatherapy. What are you drawn to? Seriously, do book yourself in at TheLifeCo because they have such good practitioners and also can introduce you to different things that you can then take up in later life. So it's never one prescription for everybody, is it? It's always a question of kind of finding a good group of people, a good group of practitioners that can kind of help you on your journey. That's the key, I think.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that is so true. It's really important to trust the person. And, one size doesn't fit all. You might have to try a few different practitioners to find one that you feel like you connect with. And then for those of you who are out there and are not aware, this Well Together podcast also has an online digital platform. So if you're not able to make yourself into the TheLifeCo, or you just want to know more, I encourage you to check out the Well Together platform. It is an online community you can join. It's great. There's tips, tools, webinars, recipes, chat rooms. You can ask questions to people like Susan Curtis. You can chat with other like-minded individuals and get feedback. It's really a wonderful interactive program. So I encourage you to check that out as well, the Well Together app. Okay, so I think that wraps up this episode for the Well Together podcast. Susan, you have been such a delightful guest. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
If you want to check out Susan Curtis again, check out her book, Natural Healing for Women. You can find her at TheLifeCo on their website as well. And until next time, everyone, this is Michelle Schoenfeld, your host. Be well.
Well Together podcast. Inspiring stories from TheLifeCo.
Let us introduce you to Amini Yusebi, a fashion industry professional and a fan of TheLifeCo. We recently hosted her for a detox program tailored to address her polycystic ovary syndrome.
Hi, my name's Amini Yusebi. I'm 24 years old. I'm Tunisian living in Dubai, and I am the first curvy model of the Middle East and North Africa. So I heard about TheLifeCo actually 4 years ago when I started having PCOS, which is when you get cysts on your ovaries, and it's an illness that plays a lot on the mental health and physical health, and I was struggling with that and I needed help. And being in the fashion industry didn't help having a healthy lifestyle. So I wanted to detox, and that's when the first time I came to TheLifeCo, which was 2 years ago. And since then, I just started becoming obsessed with TheLifeCo and wanting to come every summer.
Well Together podcast.
Are you ready to create the best version of yourself? Your transformation journey starts at TheLifeCo. With over 18 years of experience, TheLifeCo Wellbeing is committed to helping you achieve optimal health and well-being with a unique range of programs and retreats. Holistic well-being experiences that promote longevity and meaning in your life await you at TheLifeCo centers in Bodrum, Antalya, and Phuket. Visit thelifeco.com today to start your wellness journey.
Next episode of the Well Together podcast.
Work-life harmony, a businesswoman's journey to well-being.
Thank you for listening Well Together podcast.